In this video, we're going to be looking at how to register a domain name. Now, we've previously spoken in other videos about what a domain name is. Now we need to talk about how you actually get one. So first of all, where do you get one? Domain names are handed out effectively by what's called a registrar. But generally speaking, you can't just go to a registrar and say, give me my domain name please. They will tell you to go through a reseller. Now, if you do a search for I want to register a domain name, you'll get millions of people who are resellers that you can go and buy these things through, all of varying quality and price, etc. But here at Expeed, we also register domain names. We act as a reseller for them. And if we look at the expeed.com.au website that we're looking at the moment, we can see that over here on the right, we've got a section whereby you can register your domain name. Now, each domain name can only be registered once. So for example, you can't go and register google.com, it's already taken. And if you try to, you'll just get a message saying it's unavailable. You'll find that lots of domain names are already taken, but if you're trying to get a name for your business, then you'll probably be okay. Or for your name, providing you haven't got a particularly common name, you should be alright. Generally speaking, the longer a domain name is, the more likely it is to be available. But on the flip side, of course, it's more difficult for someone to remember and to type in. So if we take our example here, all we need to do is put in our desired domain name into the box. So if we was to put in google.com or google.com.au, but here we are, we'll just choose .com from the list and we'll go search. We get a message that says, sorry, google.com is already taken. Not a huge surprise, they're a massive company, they've had the domain name for years. If we were to try a completely random domain name, and put in our confirmation code here, and look up on that one, we'll probably find it is going to be available. Okay, so we can see that our domain name is available and we're able to register it. It should be noted that you don't purchase outright a domain name. What you do is purchase the right to use that domain name for a given period of time. Those periods of time are generally a year or 2 years or longer, and then at the end of that period you have to renew the domain name, the registration, otherwise you lose it and somebody else could take it from you. In the case of a .com.au domain name, you'll find that the registration period is for 2 years. Can't be any longer or any shorter, so at the end of the 2 years you'll have to renew. With things like .com, .net, .org, etc., you can register for varying periods from 1 year up to 10 years. For certain types of domain name, for example a .com.au domain name, there are additional criteria that need to be met, so that not everybody can come and grab them, because eventually they'll just run out. So in the case of a .com.au, you have to have an ABN, for example, or an ACN. You have to be a registered company of some kind or be able to use some kind of registered company, and that domain name must match your company or a product or be very similar to your company or a product that you provide. If you fail to meet those criteria, then your application to register a domain name will be rejected. This stops, firstly, people from outside Australia registering Australian domains if they've got no business in the country, and it also stops people from stealing the competition's domain names, which is sort of fairly underhand practice. With things like .com addresses, there are no such restrictions. You can just register whatever you want ad infinitum. Okay, so it depends on what type of domain name you're registering as to what rules actually apply. So we can see how easy it is to look up a domain name in this particular example. If we wanted to go through and buy it, we could obviously follow through the order now process and it would take us through a checkout process. We'll very quickly talk about how much these things cost. We can see here that our .com domain name is $15 a year. Rather depends on which domain name you are trying to register as to how much they cost. Different resellers charge different amounts. Here on the right hand side of the Expeed website we can see how expensive domains are at this time. These prices do change from time to time, but it's not bank breaking money. So there you are, that's how you register domain names.